Thanks for watching. This clip was from our live video exclusively on odds.com. To see the whole video, click the link below. Get paid in full. All right, let's move on to another 7 p.m. spot on Friday. Iowa Hawkeyes at Minnesota Golden Gophers. Hawkeyes 1-2 in the Big Ten. Gophers 1-2 in the Big Ten. Both teams coming off big wins. Let's see what we're dealing with from a market perspective here. Iowa opening up at -3 to now -3.5, and this total sitting firm at 55 right now. Iowa coming off 49-7 home win over Michigan State. Iowa's defense being very strong through 3 games, 17.3 points per game, and allowing just 315 total yards. They also rushed for 226 yards in that game. Minnesota coming off 41-14 win at Illinois. Minnesota's defense coming off their first good game of the year. They're still allowing 36 points per game and 481 total yards. Minnesota ran the ball 47 times for 325 yards and 5 touchdowns against Illinois. So we talked about the weakness at quarterback. They looked poor to start the year. So just focused on the ground to get their big win. Big Ten action, John Ryan, Iowa, Minnesota.
Well, the Big Ten has been interesting to say the least, with Penn State now 0-3, losing badly to Maryland. At the same time, as bad as that loss is, Minnesota was a pretty good team coming into the season, rebuilding a little bit from last year, and they lost to Maryland as well. Illinois, I think, safe to say, is one of the weaker teams in the Big Ten for sure. In Minnesota's win. So I'm not taking anything away from the win, but 41-14 as a -8 favorite, that probably reflects more on how weak Illinois is rather than Minnesota coming back. Iowa, again, Michigan State, is the bipolar child of the Big Ten. Look at their results. They get beat by Rutgers. Then they go into into Michigan and destroy them. And then they play a team that, they should have beaten, and they just get hammered. So it's hard to figure the Big Ten out right now, but I do like Iowa in this matchup. I think Iowa's the more stable team, especially over the years. They pretty much present the same product year in and year out. And Iowa is 27-7, facing good rushing teams that are averaging more than 225 yards per game. So granted, you have to temper that a little bit because we only have 2 or 3 game sample size here. But I think safe to say Minnesota's offensive scheme is definitely run the ball first. And I think that's been quite evident in the games that I've seen and reviewed. So let's see if we have anything else in here on the systems.
Now, why don't you take a look and see if you can pull more machine learning stuff for us, John. While you're doing that, let's move over to Noli Knows. Iowa, Minnesota, 2 teams that just came off big games on the ground, big winning games on the ground. Be surprised if they leave that. And if that's the case, is this 55-point total vulnerable to an under? Noli Knows, take it away.
Yeah, I think this number might be a little bit overreaction of what they saw last week and what we've seen out of Minnesota. Don't get me wrong, Minnesota has been an over team, especially right here with Mr. Row Your Boat, and the defense has been a concern. But here with Iowa, don't be fooled by that 49-7. That was a defensive touchdown. Special teams plays. There was a lot of things going their way. The 3 interceptions they got against Michigan State. And really, it all starts by stopping the run. That's what they were able to do. Only giving up 59 yards rushing, and on the year looking really good at only 102 yards rushing per game. And John Ryan alluded to that Minnesota is going to look to establish the run first, and that's going to be a problem here going against Iowa. That's going to be an issue. That's where they focus on. Their defense is what they've always done. I read a quote last week or the week prior talking about Iowa. I think it was last week because I took their under, and it was 2 weeks ago. And talking about how their physicality, and that's who they are. That's their identity. And here I expect that to happen again, and I expect them to try to control the game, albeit their offense still didn't look that great to me. They're going to look to try to run the ball and eat up clock. That's what they do, and I got to lean to the under. I might be making a play here, but I haven't yet.
I do think that under is interesting. We'll hear if John Ryan's got any additions right after we get to CMac. CMac, Iowa Hawkeyes, Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Yeah, Noli's right. Minnesota's going to want to run the ball, and Iowa, that's their big thing, is their run defense. I look to the under here as well. I mean, I think the piece would be Minnesota, the plus 3.5, but I want nothing to do with Minnesota, and their defense has looked rough. That's why I don't think I can touch this either, the side or the total. And that win against Illinois, backup, the quarterback, I think had COVID. They had a bunch of guys out. So I thought they'd go in there and win. I don't got a good read on them. I don't know if their defense will get better. I'm sure it will, but man, it's ugly to watch them those first couple weeks when I had bet on them. So they're on the back of the bus in my right now I'm betting. So Minnesota, I'm off this game.
Off this game. Let's go over to John Ryan. Anything to add, John?
Real quick, I mean, Minnesota runs the ball pretty well, but they allow rushing yards at an alarming rate. Their rushing defense is extraordinarily poor. And when you give up that many yards, for example, giving up 31 attempts for 253 against Michigan, 31 attempts, 281 against Maryland, that means you can that opponent scoring pretty quick. In most cases, it's like you don't even have to throw the ball because you're going to get 8 yards every time you hand it off. So in the 28-point thing again comes into play here because of the total and the betting line, and that's on the Iowa side of the ledger. And Iowa, when they score 28 or more points, are 9-2 the last 3 seasons, and 101, 28, and 3 the last 10 seasons. So. For me, it's if I'm going to back somebody, it's the Hawkeyes.
And do you think you get to the window with that?
At the end of when we have to put our best bets out, I'll confirm that. For now, it's a lean.
So then, do you think that instead of taking just the under in this game, that we'd be more safe taking just a Minnesota Golden Gophers team total under?
That would make sense. Yep.
All right.
That's an alternative way to play it. Absolutely.